Hi, everyone. Mark Warwick, Business Development for Multi-Site Retail for Distech Controls. Welcome to our coffee break. Cue the coffee. So the purpose of this is to really highlight some technology and some of the people using that technology to effectively manage multi-site retail. So today we've got Chuck Chavez from CNC Building Automation, as well as Michael Bonelli, our new business development manager from DG Logic. And both DG Logic and Distech are part of the Intelligent Spaces Group with Acuity Brands. So Michael, you want to start off with a little background on yourself?
Sure. So I've been in the industry for the last 7 years, recently coming from Distech Controls as a product manager, and joined DG a couple months ago. So pretty happy to be here and learn quite a bit.
Great. Chuck, I know your resume is long, so you're going to have to be short.
I'll try and keep it short. Well, I started this company in 1980. Really started in avionics at Naval Air Station, Alameda, and just kind of built the company from there. Been doing multi-site retail for almost from the inception of the company. So we've got a long history of doing multi-site retail, and have been doing it for a long time. Have a lot of retail customers that we've built up over the years, and we've been pretty successful doing it.
Great, Chuck. So we'll start with the first question to Michael. You were a superstar out there, and I think you had a few offers, and you decided to come to work for DG Logic. What sort of preempted you to do that?
That's a good question. I was fortunate enough to have some really great mentors in my previous capacities, and one of the things that always kind of interested me was kind of this enterprise management, this capability of having multiple devices kind of connected to each other. And what enticed me about DG, it was kind of its flexibility, right? So you typically have obstacles in terms of communication protocols being prevalent in a building that are restrictive to manufacturers. DG was kind of able to support almost any protocol that I found out there that I had exposure with over the last 7 years. So, I mean, first of all, the team was fantastic. It was great getting to know everybody. That process just really felt right. But the product really drove it home, not just from an embedded software perspective, but just from going into actually the design aspect of designing those user experiences, those interfaces. They really kind of created this Photoshop environment with connected data, which to me was just, there's nothing else like it.
Great. So Chuck, to you, how do you use DG Logic as an enterprise offering for your multi-site retailers?
Well, first of all, we tried doing this ourselves, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and weren't very successful doing it. But then we got a hold of DG Logic, and they allowed us really to use their framework to build an enterprise solution that allowed us to really cater to the multi-site, mostly the QSR industry. I mean, although we can do any kind of retail, you can imagine, but with the DG Logic platform, it allowed us to do literally anything and everything that we wanted to do in energy management. And because I've got such an extensive experience in this industry, it is, I've never had a better offering than I do right now for our customers. I mean, we can literally wrap our arms around literally every part of the energy management industry. When it comes to lighting, they got Acuity brand lighting. We've got Lucid, to do real-time monitoring of your billing, and then you got DG Logic on top of that, which allows you to, literally do anything and everything in the building automation world, which is huge in our industry because it literally leaves no rock left unturned. I mean, and so as far as I'm concerned, I've never been able to offer our customers a more complete line of energy management products, software, lighting, whatever. It just, there's no end to what we can do for a customer. and really nail your energy issues, that you have in your buildings, and also be able to monitor everything very quickly, which is huge. I mean, if you've got a lot of multi-site retail, being able to go in there and very quickly evaluate your building, with one glance, I mean, it's huge in this industry because, time is money. And if you can save energy while you're doing it, it's just a totally complete energy control offering that I don't think anybody has in the industry. I think it's unprecedented.
It's almost weird. It kind of feels like selling snake oil because it is something that's so flexible. And, well, I mean, that's what it is, right? You go up to someone, what do you want to do? Oh, yeah, we can do that. And by the way, we can do anything else that you want to do. And you just see their heads explode because previously, well, you have to use this device, and this device can only show up inside, the interface, or the data can only trend for so long. We really have this open canvas, and we give the tool set to either customers to design it themselves, the interface, or we have that team that will help you do it as well. It's kind of bizarre.
I think, and of course I've seen Chuck's demo, and it is very I was blown away. So we'll just leave it at that. So Chuck, you're sort of new to Distech Controls as well. I know when we were talking earlier, what brought you towards Distech was some of the capabilities in the hardware itself. Could you touch on that?
I just think it's a complete line. I mean, I've always, in this industry, I've always been, I can't do this and I can't do that. I can't, but this is the first time, in 40 years that I've ever been able to do a complete energy management offering to a customer. I mean, I really feel like there isn't, the integration tools are huge. I mean, to be able to integrate to any type of software, that's out there, or hardware that's out there is really a big deal. And to be able to wrap your arms around, let's say a building owner has, 4 or 5 different systems. I mean, we can literally integrate to all of them and give you a complete offering and enterprise solution that will actually talk to all those buildings with one enterprise software.
Yeah.
And nobody got that as far as I know.
And you also mentioned the potential of doing just a Wi-Fi store, where no hard wires too. So that'll be interesting.
Oh, no, that's huge. Yeah, I forgot about that. But I mean, the wireless communication, that's where this thing is all going, by the way, and be able to offer that as well is one of the biggest reasons why I joined Distech, because they had a wireless solution that I was looking for. For my customers, because when you're going into a retrofit, you need to have, that's a building that's already existing and needs to be, it needs controls. But to add that without having to pull cable in an existing building is huge. I mean, it really lowers the install cost, and it's a complete solution that that works. And that's huge in this industry, because there's a lot of stuff that you get that's this service. It's too service oriented, and you wind up taking it out because it requires too much service. But this product and this it's a complete line. I mean, it's just, there's no other way to put it. I don't know. You got software, you got hardware, you got the controls, you got an integration tool that's second to none in the industry. And software that is second to none in the industry, So I've never been more excited about what I'm doing right now. I mean, it's very, very cool.
Great. Hey, Michael, how did Distech's openness really help with DG Logic?
It kind of made all the difference, right? So they kind of go hand in hand, right? So you have to have a strong hardware solution, you have to have a strong product line, and then you need to have that embedded software portion that kind of complements it. So if you pull one of those pieces of the puzzle out, well, you're kind of lackluster, right? So you can be the right opportunity in some spaces, but in others, you're not going to be able to compete. So the fact that you can kind of complementarily present each other with DSA embedded in the Distech product line, or through Envision, the graphical interface. They help each other very well. They make them both really strong.
Sure. And Chuck, I mean, on a call, I think it was our second call together, and you were talking about your cradle to grave approach. Could you just sort of talk through that?
Sure. We do, like you're describing, cradle to grave, which means engineering through implementation. And we've been doing this for so long that it's kind of, water off a duck's back for us. The first thing we do is go in and really dive into a building. If somebody gives us a chain of stores, for instance, we'll go in and physically do the first ones ourselves. I mean, and really learn that building and learn what the nuances of that customer is, because it's really important for us to really know the application and what the needs of the customer are. Because all systems are different. I mean, there's no systems that are two alike. I mean, every one of our customers wants something different, for their particular situation. So, we have grown accustomed to, customizing a system to their application. And that's really what we do. So we go in and we physically make sure that what we're doing. And then, as anybody knows, when you're doing a system, you're learning as you go. So a lot of times we're changing stuff as we go because, oh God, that didn't work. So we're going to try something different. And we re-engineer it, and we fine tune it until the customer is crazy happy with what, the system that we give them. And we're always learning. One thing I've always, known about this industry is it's always changing. So, the software is always changing, hardware is always changing, everything's always changing. So, and when the new products come along, we're always implementing those as well. So it's really a total cradle to grave implementation.
Hey, Chuck, when you run into one of those scenarios, and sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to interrupt, but when you run into one of those scenarios where you have to make a change, whether it be to hardware or kind of connected devices, how long does it take you to incorporate those changes within DG Lux, or is it relatively quick in terms of redesign? Or
well, it depends on the application. I mean, it depends on what they want. I mean, if it's a really complicated setup, it takes longer. I mean, and some are real easy. I mean, most of them are very quick. I mean, most of the software changes. I've never been more impressed than I have been with this software, because in the past, everything was canned. I mean, all software was canned. I mean, there was no way you could change anything. I mean,
same with the user interface. And I guess that was kind of my leading question was, one of the big things that surprised me the most was it depending on the complexity, you're right. It takes weeks to, once you get scope locked down and the data is available, to make a redesign of the interface, or even less, depending on how much familiarity you have with design, or the available time that you have. It doesn't take months or years, right? So what I noticed around other manufacturers and suppliers with this canned static interface is it could take them a significant amount of time to make any sort of adjustment, versus DG Lux doesn't really constrain you to that time frame. It's something that could be done much quicker.
Oh, it's unprecedented as far as I'm concerned, because in the past I would request changes and they wouldn't even do them. I mean, unless you had a huge customer, they wouldn't even
right. And again, it still would take them a reasonably long amount of time to incorporate those changes,
or never get them. I mean, there was many times that I was a number one no-bar dealer for over 4 years, and I couldn't get them to change anything. I mean, as much as I wanted them to customize software for a certain application, they wouldn't do it for me. I mean, it was, even though the customer might have been a big customer, they still wouldn't do it for it.
Absolutely.
But now, I mean, it is so fast and so easy. Usually you can get something changed within a couple of days. Sometimes it takes weeks, but it's way better than never.
My experience so far has been, the opportunities that I've come across is trying to let them know, or let customers know, or manufacturers or different markets know that they can represent the data that's pertinent to them in any form or fashion that they want. And now all of a sudden they're just like imagining a world that they previously couldn't live in. And at first it's overwhelming for them because, you know, they were presented with just a static way of doing something. Now they have all these possibilities, which to me is fantastic. Well,
I think the most incredible thing about what we're doing right now is that we can literally do real-time energy.
That's a big one too. Yeah.
I mean, you know, we've been doing energy management systems for 40 years, over 40 years. And this is the first time that I can really manage energy.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that is insane. I mean, to wait 40 freaking years to finally be able to manage energy.
So what does energy management mean to you? Because it might mean something different to somebody else.
I think what energy management means to me is that you're constantly making sure that your buildings are compliant with, you know, with saving energy. I mean, constantly being monitored and held to a very high standard as far as you know, lowering your consumption. And if you have, you know, 3 or 4 sites, it doesn't matter if you have 3 or 4 sites or if you have thousands. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're going to want to make sure that every one of your buildings is energy compliant and making sure that they, you know, that they're using as little energy as possible. And the only way really to do that is through these tools. I mean, because you can't do it any other way. People won't manage your energy. Your managers and you know, they got more important things to do than worry about, you know, how much kilowatts you're using or how much gas you're using, how much water you're using. They don't care. I mean, it's not that they don't care. They care, but they don't have time. I mean, you know, nobody's got time. But if you've got, you know, a system that's in place that's constantly making sure that you are compliant and you're saving as much energy as humanly possible, then, you know, that's the tool you need to lower your energy costs and also you know, help our environment, because our environment is getting crushed right now with you know, burning this fossil fuel to, you know, produce energy. And the best way to do it is with, you know, one of these systems in place that can actually you know, make sure that, you know, that you're doing that, you know. And it's just not just saving you money, it's going to save your children's lives in the future. I mean, you know, and keep us safe, you know, from overwarming this planet. And to me, that, I mean, hey, look, I'm not going to probably be around, you know, for, you know, for that, but I have grandchildren and I love them very much, and I want them to have a wonderful life. And if we don't, you know, get a handle on this, we're all going to suffer.
No.
All right, I think that's a good spot to end since I'm almost out of coffee. And so, Michael, Chuck, thanks so much for your time today. For everyone else out there, I'm serious. It would be worth your while to get a demo from Chuck or talk to Michael about DG Logic or me about Distech Controls. So reach out and we'll be happy to answer your questions. So have a great rest of your day. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.